Welcome to FRCmedia News for Thursday, March 19th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. Fall River and the rest of the country continue to make adjustments to our lifestyle in the face of the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. Let's get right into it this week. A lot has happened since the last time we talked. We bring in Phil Devitt, digital news editor at the Herald News. Phil, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Keith. I'm doing all right, coming to you from my undisclosed location.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are working remotely, so I do appreciate you joining us again. Let's just talk a little bit about things that have happened in general, and I've got some specific questions for you in terms of what Fall River has been doing or how Fall River, our region, has been handling the news of the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. First of all, something important to know, in the last week, Governor Baker and Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan both declared states of emergency. And a little bit later on, after our break, we're going to be talking about everything that's been closed, schools, government, everything that's been impacted as far as we know it as of right now. But I want to talk about some specific areas, Phil, over the last week that you've reported on in the Herald News. What's important to know for people is that even though people are being asked to practice social distancing and also be careful with going outside and being with people who may have been infected, it's important to know that city government is still working, particularly, our public safety officials are still working. And you did a story this week, or the Herald did a story this week, about how our public safety personnel are still going to be out there protecting us, but with some different guidelines. If you can talk about it. And then we also have a soundbite of Interim Chief Charles Cullen. So talk about your piece first.
Sure, Keith. We checked in with public safety departments in Fall River and the surrounding towns, and the sense we got from all of them is that there is some hypervigilance now that's required of firefighters and police officers and emergency workers who have to go to work every day and have to do their jobs and, of course, risk exposure to the coronavirus. So in our reporting this week, Fall River, for example, we talked to Chief Cullen and of the police department, Chief Lynch of the fire department. Basically, if you call for an ambulance now or emergency services, they're still going to come, they're still going to do their job, but be prepared for them to ask you a couple of different questions on the phone, including if you've shown any symptoms of the coronavirus or symptoms that you're suspicious of. This is so they know how to prepare and they know how to respond. In one community, I don't believe it's Fall River, just trying to remember the story at this point because we've done so many. They're now sending, one emergency responder into a home where somebody has requested an ambulance, for instance, to check on them before other emergency workers follow suit. That's for that first person to sort of get a read on the situation and determine if it's safe for others to enter. So precautions are definitely being taken and wisely so for people who need to be out there on the front lines to protect us.
Yeah, earlier this week at a press conference with Mayor Paul Coogan, Interim Chief Cullen did address this. Let's run that piece right now.
When someone calls the station requesting an ambulance for any reason, emergency dispatchers will be asking extra questions. Be patient with them. We need these questions presented, and depending on the answers, depends on our responses. And it's also important that we collect certain information so that we get it out to the police cruisers and the fire department engine companies and also medical rescue units that are going to the calls. This way, they'll take precautions before they enter. And we are available, the police department, to work with all city departments with whatever their needs are, and also with the citizens of Fall River.
Other things that we've been seeing over the past week, Phil, that we've been reporting on, you've been reporting on at the Herald, is the run on local stores. People appear to be vigilant in terms of stocking up during this time. We talked a little bit about it last week, but it's really taken hold, and there's been some strain on some local store owners and also local businesses. We'll get to the business aspect in just a moment, but from what you're hearing, are still a lot of people going to stores, stocking up, maybe a little bit too diligent at times?
Yes, and I think if you've paid attention to the national news in the last week or so, you'll find that's the case just about everywhere. The big chains have been all over the news, right?
Right.
The Stop and Shop and other stuff like that. But and crazy stories about being cleaned out of toilet paper, certain foods, that kind of thing. And as you said, Keith, we wondered if that was the case for the smaller stores. And it is. They're swamped, and they're having a hard time keeping up. Down Market in Fall River, for instance, they were too busy to talk to us for our story.
Yeah.
So that gives you an indication.
Yeah.
And then another market, Portugalia Marketplace here in Fall River, they're staying stocked up. They've got what they need to sell, but they're an importer as well. And some of their products they're finding are delayed in getting to the United States via ship. And then just over the border in Westport, Lee's Market, seeing the kind of traffic it's used to in the summer.
Right.
And it's the same story the other way at Eau Claire's in Somerset. They're inundated. So, we have emergency responders on the front lines, but we've also got a lot of supermarket workers on the front lines trying to keep people supplied.
Yeah, and as much right now as these supermarkets are probably making more money than they normally would this time of year, there are other businesses that have been extremely negatively impacted by this. Restaurants, bars, the governor this week, in effect, shutting them down except for takeout food only. That's been a big impact, and you've been reporting on this as well, especially some of the shops downtown.
Yeah, the reality of this is this shutdown on dine-in service and bar service affects millions of people across the country, thousands in our region alone. We have a lot of people without jobs right now, at least as long as this ban on dine-in service lasts. So we are seeing a lot of local restaurants pump up their takeout and delivery offerings, some with a scaled back menu, understandably so, with a scaled back staff. But there's some tricky territory here. For some of these restaurants, if they weren't already doing delivery, they're not necessarily allowed to start now. They can keep up the takeout business.
Right.
But it's an even bigger blow to places that are more bar centric, that don't offer a food menu normally and are now closed, but also have no other way to make sales. You might have seen the story this week. We were out on North and South Main Streets the middle of the week. Where the reality is hitting home for some of the small business owners there, some of them who worry that they might have to close entirely depending on how long this lasts,
Right.
and also depending on how much help they get from the government, which remains to be seen at this point.
Yeah, you just mentioned the government help. Small Business Association is going to have some low-interest loans available for those businesses impacted by the coronavirus outbreak, as well as some other state help. I believe a $10 million state loan authorization was made this week to help on those in the front line. Last week we were talking about how organizations were starting to cancel events, and we were talking about trying to keep up with the number of events that had been canceled. I think it's pretty safe to say that right now all events are canceled until further notice. Many of them have listed until the middle of April, others even more further out than that. So, pretty much if you were going to be involved in any sort of community event, those have been pretty much canceled or postponed for the time being. The only other thing I want to bring up with you, Phil, is that I know you at the Herald News are providing online access to non-subscribers as well for a limited time in terms of covering the coronavirus outbreak. Tell us about how that works.
Yeah, we are a business. We normally have a paywall, which is not necessarily popular with everybody.
Yeah.
But the impact of this coronavirus is so far-reaching, and the information coming out about it is so vital for everybody to know. We are providing completely free access to all of that coverage at HeraldNewscom now and for the foreseeable future. So if you haven't visited the site in a while and you sort of kind of get discouraged by that paywall, just know you can access all of the local important information you need to know about coronavirus with us. Thanks for bringing that up, Keith.
All right, Phil. Thanks for talking with us. We'll hopefully talk next week. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Substance abuse social worker. Arbor Counseling Services, located at 1082 Davall Street, is looking for a full-time substance abuse social worker to assess and treat individuals with mental, emotional, or substance abuse problems. Job number 133-16843. Parts delivery driver. O'Reilly Auto Parts, located at 171 Rhode Island Avenue, is looking for a full-time parts delivery driver to deliver parts and products to customers using a company-provided vehicle. Job number 133-14015. Clinician. Bay Cove Human Services is in need of a full-time clinician to provide services to adults with developmental disabilities, mental illness, and drug and alcohol dependency in the Fall River area. Job number 133-14313. Sexetta, located at 1082 Davall Street, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Professional Services Engineer, job number 133-18719. Senior Software Developer, job number 133-18723. St. Anne's Hospital, located at 795 Middle Street, is also looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Medical Assistant, job number 133-13594. Inpatient Clinical Leader, job number 133-18567. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Phil and I just went over some of the specific impacts COVID-19 has made to our lifestyle. As we mentioned earlier, both Governor Baker and Mayor Coogan has declared states of emergency, both statewide and here in the city of Fall River. Here's Mayor Coogan from earlier this week talking on the city's response.
We need everyone in the city to reach out to other people, your neighbors, keep an eye out for our children on the streets, call an elderly neighbor. We will all help to take the steps necessary to protect Fall River right now. This is a very important fight. I've never seen anything like it in my entire career, and we have a lot of work to do as a city to make sure we keep everyone safe. With St. Anne's, Charlton, and other healthcare providers in the area, along with our Board of Health physician, Dr. Gagliardi, we covered a number of topics. Are the hospitals ready? What do they see coming? How many tests have they given? What do the negatives look like? And it was very, very well thought out, planned interaction with the private sector and the public sector coming together to make sure everyone's on point. We encourage all residents to visit the City of Fall River website, which will be updated every day at 4 o'clock. We'll constantly be moving the information on there so that you know exactly what's going on and what's available to help you.
All right, what we want to do right now is take a look at a very long list of what has been impacted here within the city of Fall River really in the past week. Let's bring up that first slide. What I'd like to mention first of all is that everything you see here and a lot more, we have a special dedicated page on our website at frmedia.org/coronavirus. You can find out all of this information. We are updating it constantly throughout the day. We have not only a list of this information, other information, links to stories that we and others have been reporting on in terms of the local response to the COVID-19 outbreak, as well as statistics from both the national perspectives, the Centers for Disease Control, and our Massachusetts Department of Public Health, latest statistics on the coronavirus outbreak. But here's just a list of some of the things that have been impacted here in Fall River. Of course, all Fall River schools, K through 12, are closed until April 6th. The governor just yesterday announced that child care facilities will also be closed starting on March 23rd. Government Center is closed to the public right now through March 27th. Staff are reporting as normal. Residents can call or email city departments. All Fall River Public Library locations and all senior centers are closed until April 6th. All city parks remain open. However, playgrounds are closed until April 6th. As we said earlier, police and fire safety operations are continuing as normal. Trash pickup continuing as scheduled. All city council meetings are canceled through March 27th. Let's go to the next page now. Our Fall River Justice Center on South Main Street closed until April 6th. Only emergency sessions are being held. Our Fall River Registry of Motor Vehicles is open, but it's important to note that March and April renewals have a 60-day extension, so there's no need for a rush of people to go to the Registry of Motor Vehicles at this time. Bristol Community College, no classes through March 27th. Remote learning will begin on March 30th through April 25th. Campus buildings are open to current students, faculty, and staff only, closed to the general public. At UMass Dartmouth, all classes will be remote. All events, including commencement, are canceled through May 31st. Those seeking unemployment benefits assistance should contact the Department of Unemployment Assistance online. Phone contact may be limited. And of course, we talked about earlier about the restriction on bars and restaurants, about serving on premises, takeout only. Also, of course, the governor has reported that gatherings of over 25 people have been prohibited. A couple of other items not on that list are two hospitals, Charlton Memorial and St. Anne's Hospital, also limiting the number of visitations at any one time to patients in the hospital. Please reference their website for more information. So there's a lot going on there, and we do ask you to please check out our webpage, frmedia.org/coronavirus. We're doing our best to sort of consolidate a lot of that information for you here, local Fall River information, as soon as we get it. So we appreciate your support and your continuing to visit that website and continue to keep us posted here on Channel 95 as well. Moving on, as we mentioned earlier, more and more people are staying at home and not working. That means they'll be in need of some social services. Citizens for Citizens in Fall River says it is still serving the community.
The most important program that I want to mention that's still in operation is our food pantry. We are open 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8:30 in the morning until noon. And we usually have a lot of people that access it, but today it was really slow. So I just want to make sure that if people are in need of food, that they know we're operational. Again, you can't come into the building, but we've changed some things around, and we're actually working. We have an area outside. You can get in line, we'll sign you up, and we'll give you a bag through the window. We did stop the volunteers from coming in, so we only have staff that are actually assisting, so people can't actually help us in that capacity. And we're very cautious with people dropping off food now. So we're using the food bank that we usually normally pick up food from, and hopefully they will be able to supply enough food so we can take care of the greater Fall River residents. If you want to apply for fuel assistance, we're asking that you call on the telephone, and we're going to do everything over the phone. We'll then send out the application with instructions on what you need to complete it. You can return it to us, and then we'll process the application and hopefully get you eligible. We think with the increased number of people who are going to become either collecting unemployment or not have any income for a period of time, we're actually preparing for an influx maybe in the fuel assistance program. Again, all of our staff are in the building, and we will help people through the phone, try to make the process as easy as possible. The program hasn't been extended, so as of now, it's still April 30th as a cutoff date. So we do encourage when people have lost wages in the last 4-week time frame that they contact us. Actually, the best way to see if you're actually eligible for programs and to be updated is our website. So we update it, well, I would say daily, but sometimes it's hour to hour, minute to minute. But it's www.cfcinc.org. You can also check our Facebook page, but we do have all of our programs. There is staff in the building that can answer phone calls and any concerns. We have something that's called, on our website, the Contact Us page, where someone can actually write an email, and then someone will get back to them within a day or two. So people can also send questions that way that are confidential, or if they don't want to call, or if our phones all of a sudden become inundated with everybody calling, you can always reach out through the Contact Us link.
As we mentioned earlier, the Fall River Public Library is closed until April 6th, but that does not mean that all materials are out of reach to residents.
Even though the library is closed to the public during these trying times, Certain aspects of the library are still available to the public through computers at home. We have our Frigo app, which you can download music. A lot of popular and classical music can be downloaded using your library card. We also have Hoopla, which allows you access to movies and comic books and graphic novels. We have ebooks online, and we also have Tumble Books for children, where children can go online, accessing it with their library card, and downloading books being read to them. There's collections of hundreds of picture books available to children to enjoy at home. So even though the library is presently closed at this time to the public, there are ways for you to still have access to our numerous resources from home.
For those of you who are staying at home, I'm sure many of you are understandably concerned, but yesterday we found plenty of people still getting out and walking on the Fall River waterfront.
Well, we have to make the best of it, so we need to get outside, fresh air, take advantage of the sun, and stay out and about and as healthy as we can. I have older parents, so I've been staying away from them, making sure that they're good every day, checking in, seeing if they need anything. And we have to do the best to go on and live our life like we're living every day. There's a lot of media. It's 24/7, depending what channel you're watching. All the channels are talking about it. And we can get caught up in all the negativity and into the panic of what's going on. So you kind of have to look at it from all angles. Yes, there's a virus. We have viruses every single year, all year long. So we just need to take caution and just keep that in mind. And hopefully it'll end as fast as it came.
We'll have more right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Kennedy. She is a 3-year-old hound. She was actually a transfer from Virginia. She's very sweet. She does get along with other dogs. I think she would do fine with kids as well. She is a little strong on the leash. She definitely would benefit from running at least a few times a week. She's a big girl, but she thinks she's a lap dog. She's roughly about 70 pounds. She's very lovable. So come down and meet Kennedy. We're at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, Mass. at Forever Paws Animal Shelter. She'd love a new home.
Today we have Robbie. Robbie, right now, he's very inquisitive. He's trying to explore the room here, get up as high as he can in his exploration. He tends to be a very outgoing cat. He would be good with kids. He is good with other cats. Well, he is an outgoing cat. He did just move rooms today. He's now in a public room available to be adopted. So he's dealing with that new change now. So he's become a little bit anxious today as we were bringing him in here. But typically he's very calm. It's just when change happens for a couple hours afterwards, he's a little like, what's going on? Which, makes sense. So if you'd like to meet Robbie, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
When circumstances do return to normal, the Fall River Public Schools is actually getting set to launch an innovative language immersion program this September at the Vivera School.
So for this coming school year, 2020-2021, we'll just be opening the Spanish program at Viveros. We are hoping that in the future that we will be opening up more strands at other buildings potentially with Portuguese. We will be opening kindergarten this coming fall, and then each year adding an additional grade level so that we eventually have a full strand within Viveros, so kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. It's absolutely optional for them. They can select to be entered into the lottery, and then from that system, parents will have the choice of deciding whether or not they want to participate in the program. And if they're selected, then they'll be able to join the program. The amount of students that will be in the classrooms will be 50 total. It'll be 25 and 25. It'll be 2 classes.
It was really around just best practices for our English language learners. And here at Viveris, we house 4 foundational classrooms for our newcomer students into the district. And we were just really looking for program options on improving that education experience for them. And Fernanda Veracruz, who's our director, had worked previously in Brockton, who houses a dual language immersion program. So through that and through many sessions of professional development and consultants and just us working as a committee over the last 2 years, it's finally coming about that we're going to start the program here at Viveris in the fall.
This session that we held here today was to kind of give preference to the Viveris school families, as they're obviously housing the program. So to let those families who already have children who will be siblings, having their incoming kindergartners come in, to have that opportunity to learn more about the program and potentially fill out an interest form so that their child could be entered on the list of potential candidates for the program. So the April session, which will be April 15th, the location is to be determined. This will be open to the entire district, so all of Fall River schools who have students who will be beginning kindergarten in the fall 2020. So all families have the opportunity to also sign up for the chance for their child to be in the program. A lot of people don't really know until you have the opportunity to learn about the great opportunity that this is, the dual language, in order to foster culture and also language, and how students are outperforming monolingual students in this program. So we really hope that we're able to get a lot of families and parents in here to learn more.
And it's just really a great opportunity for Fall River students to really gain skills that are necessary in the 21st century and becoming a global society, and really giving our kids that benefit and that leg up.
Just for note, it was mentioned in the piece that there is going to be a community meeting on April 15th to discuss this further. Because of the events that we've been all facing, that session has been postponed until further notice. That's going to do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can watch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m., but we please ask you to join us for updated news and information at our website, frmedia.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week, and please stay safe.